Hello, welcome to episode 3 of Four Women on the Record. Today I am joined by Donna, Audra, and Allie once again, and we are here to give you our takes on three of our picks for the Essential 500, answer some questions, as well as build a festival that would be our perfect festival. So, as always, no, we were not late, Thomas. We were on time. You stop it. I was watching it, did not turn to 5:01. I told them, I said, it is 5 o'clock. Let's go. So, um, first, we're just going to start off. Everybody's going to go ahead and introduce themselves. Tell us a little bit about yourself, what you do on Whatnot, anything else you want to tell us. I always go based on where people are on the screen. So, Donna, you are first.
Okay, I'm Donna. I'm known on Whatnot as StingFanDonna, and I am very, very new to this. I'm relatively new to records in general. Um, I started collecting just in the last couple of years. We inherited a large collection from my husband's uncle who passed away. He has a lot of good stuff, and took us a long time to even look at it because it hurt too much. But so I started cataloging all of it, and that's really how I got into records and collecting. And then I ended up buying too many, so now I'm a seller on Whatnot because I had to sell off a lot of the bulk that I had bought for myself. But so I've been selling since April. Um, I am a nurse in my regular life and a former music teacher, so I bring that to the table. You know, I used to teach a class on like rock history, so I have some knowledge of it, but I'm always learning, and I love learning from this community. I love how we share this, and I'm so honored to be a part of this. So thank you for inviting me to be part of it.
Okay, Audra up next.
I am Audra, and if you're not familiar, I am half or one half of Cap City Pop on Whatnot with my life partner and husband, Trinity. Uh, he's not here right now, as you can see. Personally, I've been collecting since 2010 ish. We primarily sell Japanese music with a focus on kind of stuff from the 70s and 80s, city pop and Japanese jazz. As a store, collecting, I have been collecting mostly indie rock and really kind of exploring a bunch of other genres since 2010. And yeah, it's been a long time. I was like, wow, that's actually like 16 years, but it's been a fun process. So yeah, love selling on Whatnot. Just celebrated 4 years with Tren. This most recent Monday. So keeping that going, and yeah, glad to be here. Thank you guys so much for having me.
Of course. Allie.
Hi, I'm Allie. This is my second time here, so very exciting. Thank you for having me back. Like Donna, I am pretty new to record collecting in general. I started a little over a year ago now, May of last year. And like Donna as well, I bought in excess, which led to me selling. And now here we are. And I'm just having fun. And I love this community that has been built up. So it's very cool.
And I am Stacey. You guys have seen me on here a bunch of times. I think this is 7. As you know, I am the better half on the best coast of Best Coast music. Yeah, so you guys pretty much know who I am. I'm not going to go into a whole spiel. If you have questions, we can also do those after. But the first thing that we like to do is share with you guys what. Don't tell Jenny. He already knows that. It's okay. The first thing we like to do is share some of the stuff that we've picked up recently and that we have in our collection new. So we're going to go around the same way. We're going to go in the same order for everything. So Donna, you can go first. If there's
Okay.
anything that you got you want to share.
Well, I just picked up, and it just so happens that it's one of my records that I'm talking about tonight. But I just got a Japanese press of Toto 4 that I'm really proud of. So got that. Um, I collect. My husband is also a music teacher, and he is really the jazz guy. So this is really his. But we got a world saxophone quartet. He plays the saxophone, so
Oh,
I pick up a
cool.
lot of jazz, and we kind of share that. And then Um, let's see. I got. I picked this up. A little Chris Cornell. So I'm really proud of this. I think, like most people, I miss Chris very, very much, and I love his voice. So I'm very happy to have this. So there you go.
Audra?
I have a few things, and one of these tiny records, not really a tiny record, it's a 7-inch. So yeah, I've been on kind of this Japanese jazz journey and kind of discovering what kind of jazz I like, which has been a process. Mostly Latin, and I like a lot of synth. Like as soon as you put like a synthesizer or any kind of electro sounds in jazz, like I'm like locked in. And I think a lot of that is because I play a lot of video games, so that kind of has a lot of crossover. So I got this record. It's a jazz record by the late great Hiroshi Kubota. He is a fantastic composer and actually worked on composing music for the Sega Genesis, like way back in the day for Sonic. And you can hear a lot of that in that music, and that kind of ticks off a lot of boxes for me. This is a fantastic record. Been looking for it for a while. Super excited to add that. Second one is something I wasn't familiar with, and then one of our friends in our Discord mentioned it actually in one of the live streams. He was like, "Have you heard of this band called How Cali?" And I was like, "No." Right. So I looked it up, and it's this great hip hop duo, Japanese hip hop duo that was really popular kind of in the OOs. And those crazy kids, apparently, I guess it went viral on TikTok. So they kind of blew up, gained all this popularity, and the music is absolutely kind of this fantastic, bubbly electro pop. It's How Cali's Bacon. This is a fantastic, fantastic record. Recommend checking that one out. And then I got myself a 7-inch. This is a 7-inch from the Japanese film Totoro, My Neighbor Totoro. It is the theme song from My Neighbor Totoro, and really excited to add this one. This is like one of my favorite animated movies, and it's a fantastic piece and an original one. So those are my recent pickups.
Very cool. Allie, anything new?
Yeah. So last time I was here, I said one of my grails was The Weekend live at SoFi Stadium. Yay! So that was very exciting. I got that one from VC Vinyl, surprisingly. Not one that I expected to see there. And then this next one is Kim Petras. Oh, I hate this glare. I'm so sorry, you guys. This is Kim Petras, Turn Off the Light. It is very spooky, kind of electronic. I love Kim Petras. She, like I said, just spooky, and her music is fun. Just makes you want to dance. So those are my two newest exciting ones.
Okay. I have 3 exciting ones or cool ones, and then I have 2 randos. So I got the Interscope Vinyl Collective of AFI December Underground, which had not been pressed and was like a $200 record, so I could never get it because I didn't want to spend that much on it. It's one of those, Audra, I love the record, but I don't $200 love the record.
Right,
So,
I feel that.
So I got this one, which was awesome. And then I got the newest album by one of my favorite synth pop bands, The Midnight. This is Syndicate, and all of their vinyl are gorgeous.
I love that.
And then I got a Tate McRae, So Close to What, because I love this album so much, and I love Tate, and I think all her music is kind of what Allie said about Kim Petras. It's great to dance to. It's just good, fun music, and this is on like a marble tangerine. And then my randoms. When I was little, one of my favorite movies to watch over and over and over was with Annette Funicello, and it is Babes in Toyland. And this is actually a die cut cover with
Love
like,
that.
the book inside of it. So there's that one. And then last of my random stuff, I do buy a lot of random stuff that have like nostalgic value to me, is The World of Strawberry Shortcake.
I love that.
All I need now is
Yay.
Rainbow Bright. Tom, Toothpaste King,
Yes.
finds these for me. So now I need him to find me Rainbow Bright. That's my last wish from him to get into my collection to fulfill my nostalgia. So,
I
okay.
just bought
Now we're
Muppets
going
and
to,
Sesame Street today.
yeah. Oh, I have so much Sesame Street and
Yeah.
Disney and on writer's shelf. Just
There,
so much.
it's amazing. I love like all of the kids stuff, like all the Muppets, all the Disney stuff. Like I think those are like collection essentials. So
Yeah, totally. I got like a whole stack of these really cool 45 picture books. They're just like the size of a 45, but they have the books in it. You can read along
Right.
with the
Yeah.
45. They don't sound very good, but they're really cool.
Yeah.
So love
yeah,
them.
those are really hard to get in decent shape, right?
Yeah.
Like you could definitely tell those were kids, right?
Yes. Yes. I try to
Did y'all
find
have
ones that you
y'all?
can't tell are kids' records, but it's very hard to find
Right.
those.
Did y'all have those when you were little? Because I did. Like I had my little record player and like books with records.
I don't think I did.
I had
I'm older than
cassettes.
most of you, so
Yeah, I
that
had
was totally
cassettes.
fun. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay,
I was
so next we're going to do some question and answer time. I tried to think of some different questions that maybe haven't been asked before. So first question is going to be, what is the first album that you remember buying with your own money, and why did you choose it? Donna.
I'm not gonna go first for everything. I have to-
Yes.
Oh gosh. Okay. So I I was born in '79. So I had records when I was little that I kind of like shared with my brother because my brother was older than me. So my first purchase wasn't a record, it was a tape because I was in like second grade and tapes were like big. So I'll share my first tape that I bought with my own money. I was like 7 years old, and that was Slippery When Wet by Bon Jovi. And so much stuff on there that maybe a 7-year-old shouldn't be listening to. But I played the heck out of that tape. And I remember that was really, like, I still remember the feeling I had. Like, I jotted down that, like, I remember feeling it in my whole body. Even at the age of 7, and I knew that music was going to be a very special part of my life, even at the age of 7, listening to Slippery When Wet. So probably a lot of people from the 80s had that album and can relate to that. But yeah, as a 7-year-old, that one really uh, touched me. So.
Now, was it appropriate for a 7-year-old?
No, and I didn't know what's that social disease, all the heavy breathing at the beginning of social disease. I was like, I didn't know what that was about. I just thought they were, in pain or something. I didn't know.
Yeah. When I was 10, my dad got me a Discman and Madonna erotica. So
Oh my
yeah,
God.
yeah. Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Audra.
I will get to that in a second. It reminds me of this happened when I was even an adult. I think I was even up here, but I used to always be a big fan of the Peter Gabriel video for Sledgehammer when I was a child, and I used to watch it like all the time on VH1.
Yep.
And like finally, as an adult, like realizing what like the whole thing is about, I was like, wow, my parents just let me just, jam that like all the time, sing all the words. I love the music video. So I totally, absolutely feel like as a kid, like you just don't know. You're just there for the ride.
So much
Yeah.
it just went right over our heads.
Right.
Oh yeah.
Now, I remember the first time I had a job as a cashier and I had gotten my driver's license. And I wasn't allowed to go to cross the state border. I was living in Ashland, Kentucky at the time. It's like right beside West Virginia. And so I wasn't allowed to go to Huntington, West Virginia, but all of the good places to buy CDs were in Huntington. So I had my car, and this was before cell phones. So I, made a little trip after getting my first paycheck as a cashier. And I went to a bookstore, and I found a copy of the Pixies' Doolittle. And I was very excited to get in my car and just listen to it as absolutely loud as possible and sing along with nobody else there, and to have that freedom. And it probably stayed in my car for like a solid 6 months, I just on repeat. I didn't get tired of it. And yeah, nobody could actually know that, like, where I got it, or, you know, that story would have to kind of like be held until like a later date, because, you know, I wasn't supposed to drive that far.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm so glad that
Right. Before Find
finally
My
got
or
it.
anything, you could
Mhm.
just do what you wanted to do. And then you
Yeah.
probably weren't going to get caught unless somebody
Right.
physically
I would have
saw
been
you
so much
there.
trouble. Oh my god.
Right.
Right. Like, yeah, like I wasn't allowed to drive in San Francisco, but I was there every weekend.
Yeah.
Right. And, you know, as long as nobody knew, as nobody saw, it never happened, you
Right.
know?
Yeah.
Allie?
Well, I guess taking it back to when I was a kid, I remember I bought NSYNC and Britney Spears. It was a little like compilation CD of just a few songs of the both of them, and it was the best because I was like 8 years old, so it was awesome. But for my first record that I bought, I remember very specifically my very first time at the record store here in Vegas. I picked up an Elvis album. It's the Elvis medley. And it kind of just had all of my favorite Elvis songs in one. And it just reminded me of my childhood. You know, that was the kind of music that my mom and I used to listen to. So that was my very first one, along with a Michael Jackson as well. So
The first album I ever got with my own money, I can't exactly remember which one. I feel like I went into Tower Records and bought more than one. And the two that I can remember buying are Third Eye Blind self-titled and Blink 182 Enema. And both of those got played out in my CD player in my car, and I had to buy them again. So those were like high school days, like on repeat with my friends. Everybody had Enema of the State in their car and Third Eye Blind, and we would just belt those songs out while driving down the El Camino, which goes through multiple cities in the Bay Area. You just kind of like drive down and back up, and that's kind of what you do, cruise the Camino, cruise the L, we would say. But for the hi Molly, for the record, the first record I ever bought, I did not get a turntable of my own until about 2016, and I bought the Romeo and Juliet soundtrack, the Leonardo DiCaprio one. Still have it to this day, that exact copy. It has a couple scratches, but I will not get rid of it. But yeah, that was the first vinyl I ever purchased for myself. So, what album feels like the soundtrack to your life? And this can be current, it could be over time, it could be in your past, whatever, however you want to answer it. It is over 100 now, yeah.
Yeah, that's a grail. I have a repress of it, but it was like waiting forever for that to come out.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
Great soundtrack, by the way.
it's amazing. I have it on tape as well. Okay, so album that feels like the soundtrack to your life. I'm gonna go to Audra first, so Donna doesn't have to be first every time.
Thanks.
I really kind of wrestled with this one because there have been so many albums that I feel like I have like loved super hard and have connected with. And I'm definitely the type of person that I like to listen to like an album and I get like every single ounce of enjoyment of it. And then I just kind of move on. But I keep on going back to Bjork's Post or Homogenic. And those are two albums that I discovered when I was still in my teens. And they're ones that I frequently listen to. And I'm a huge Bjork fan, so I listen to like pretty much all of her work a lot. But I think it's her strongest pieces, and just her lyrics and her delivery, and more about car singing and kind of like belting out on your own like privacy. But it's very cathartic to listen to Bjork and kind of be feral in your car and sing as loud as possible. And I shower singing. But those albums just have continued to resonate, right? It doesn't feel like something, if you've ever listened to something when you're a teenager and you're like, man, I really loved this when I was a teenager, but it just doesn't hold up. Like it doesn't click anymore. The magic is gone or whatever. But like those albums are timeless. They are definitely pieces of the 90s. You can hear that kind of the production work and the kind of like tropes almost from that time period, but they're still highly relevant, and ones that I revisit, and content and lyrics still kind of apply to a lot of stuff I have going on. So I would say I'm just going to pick Post if I can pick one. By Bjork is that. So
Okay. Allie?
fantastic record.
Yeah, like Audra said, I feel like I've gone through so many seasons and just faith one specific one. The only thing, and this is so stupid, you guys, it's a total joke. The only thing I could think of in this moment was the Nightmare Before Christmas soundtrack, because it is currently 110 degrees outside and it's a goddamn nightmare. Oh, I'm sorry. It's a nightmare.
Donna?
Oh, well, it was hard for me to pick between the two, and I guess y'all can probably guess who I'm going to say. But actually, one of my picks for the night, in bringing the album to you, is 10 Summoner Tales by Sting. And like, I, I remember really connecting with that. I was 14, or about to turn 14, when that album came out, and that album just exploded when it came out. You know, Fields of Gold, If I Ever Lose My Faith in You, and I mean, it was on the radio all the time. And so I bought the CD immediately because I was part of the BMG music club, and back when that was a thing. And I played that CD out, and you know, for a long time I just listened to, kind of the hits, and it's evolved over the years to where it is truly like no skips at all. It is a piece of art in and of itself, and there's so much of it that resonates with me. Um, the song "Shape of My Heart" literally saved my life because the lyrics of it taught me that it's okay to be yourself, even if you're doing things for your own reasons and nobody else understands them. And I actually got to tell Sting that, at one point. I said, "Thank you.
That's
This,
awesome.
this song saved my life." So,
That's amazing.
yeah,
That's so
so,
awesome.
yeah, that's mine. And if I had a tie, it would be "Synchronicity" by the Police. But 10 Summer Tales is really how I discovered Sting, and then I kind of backwards discovered the Police from there. So I had to start with 10 Summer Tales. So.
So I took a long time to think of my answer. I really wanted to think of something that maybe wasn't like just for an era of my life, which like Midnight's might be, or Torture Poets Department, because the Swiftie in me. But overall, I think Golden Hour by Casey Musgraves, because like life isn't always fun. It's not always happy. It's not always great, but you can always kind of look and find something good in a situation. And I really do try to do that in most situations. Like try to see the bad, but also like look at the good and see how we can improve and change. And that's really kind of been my motto for the last few years since I got divorced, is just like, how can I be a better person? How can I learn from my mistakes? How can I see the light in everybody and the good in everybody? I think that Writer definitely helps me do that. So I picked Golden Hour by Casey for that.
It's a great pick.
Thank you. I'm going to skip a question and go to, if you could go back and see any concert that you missed, what would it be? Allie first.
Okay, so I like Taylor Swift, but I wouldn't like consider myself a Swiftie. And after seeing all of the Eras tours footage and photos, I I wish I would have gone. I mean, it just looked incredible. Great production, and I mean, she is a great singer and songwriter. So I think Eras tour for sure.
Mine is also a Taylor Swift concert. I would like to go see the Rep tour. I think that would have been amazing. So that would be my concert that I missed that I would like to see. Donna?
Well, the Police got back together one time in 2007. And in 2007, I was very pregnant with my now 18-year-old son. And we could have gone, but I was trying to be financially responsible as a parent and not spend money that I need to spend on the baby. So I missed it. And to this day, my 18-year-old son apologizes to me for making me miss the police reunion because it will never ever happen again. Sting and Stewart cannot get it together enough to ever do another tour. So I regret it, but you know, in the end, my boy was worth it. So, but I would love to go back and be able to go and do that.
Audra?
I have a couple long-term regrets. One is the band LCD Sound System, which I'm a huge fan of, and they've definitely influenced kind of my music, just like my music preferences and likes throughout the years. I had tickets to see them in Chicago. It was probably around 2009, and I was in college at the time. And it was like super hard to get tickets, and I somehow lucked into getting these tickets, but it was either like a midterm or a final, and it was just like logistically getting to Chicago from Ohio and doing my finals or whatever I had going on was not going to work. So I had to sell the tickets, and they ended up, I don't think, a festival show since then, and they apparently put on a fantastic live performance. Another one was I did have tickets to go see Caroline Polachek in Columbus, and she's absolutely one of my favorite artists that's active and has an amazing vocal range. And I had tickets to see her on the Pang tour, which is absolutely one of my favorite albums as well. And I got so sick I couldn't go, and it broke my heart because she's one of those like performers like vocally that's just can absolutely like bring a house down. So I actually have quite a few. I can continue, but
I think we all probably have quite a few. I think there's a lot that I missed out on.
We could bring out, you know,
Yeah.
that I've not gotten tickets to, or, you know, things have just not panned out. Right.
Yeah.
So
I did. Donna, your story made me think of this. When my little brother was born, who, by the way, he just turned 21 a couple days ago, and that's insane to me. But when my brother was born, the day of, I had tickets to go see Hillary Duff at the Orange County Fair.
Missed that one.
We went. I said, Grandma, I don't care. He's not going to remember this. He's a newborn. We are going to Hillary
he's
Duff.
not going to remember.
She took me.
That's funny.
So
yeah.
Nice.
That's a good grandparent, right?
Right.
Like,
Yeah.
you know,
She's like, whatever. He's fine.
he'll never know.
We can see him tomorrow.
Right.
What is a musical opinion that usually gets you in trouble? Audra?
Oh man, starting with me, I have so many controversial opinions. I'm gonna circle back to vinyl if that's good. And my controversial opinion is that everybody rides new variants like pretty hard. Like, right, like if Taylor Swift puts out like 15 variants, if Olivia Rodrigo puts out 15 variants, or you know, anybody else who's releasing it, there's always this chatter in the vinyl community. Oh, they're taking up space. Oh, you know, other people can't get their pressings or whatever. But if it's the 50th pressing of Dark Side of the Moon, right? If we're getting another issue of, you know, a Beatles record, you know, like Led Zeppelin too, like they're like, there's so many different variants. Like you can't knock new artists for releasing all these different types of variants and pressings and not acknowledge the fact that we're still pressing these classic rock albums that have had numerous pressings and availability before.
And that they were pressed in like every country. Like
Right.
they were available, like they had like 30 presses for one album
exactly
in 1 year at different
exactly.
points.
And like when somebody says that to me, like, you know, I definitely understand getting frustrated if you're trying to collect all the variants and it's hard, or you're dealing with all these different Charlie XCX variants or whatever. But like when I hear people complain about that, I want to look at them and be like, how many copies of Dark Side of the Moon do you have in your collection? Like, how many copies of the Beatles Revolver do you have in your collection? Like,
No, Tucker, they put out 400 black copies at one time.
Right.
Go look up
So
any album in the 70s and look at the year it was released, and it's probably got 30 different pressings.
exactly. Now they're just different colors and actually cool
Mhm.
things about
Mhm.
it, right? Like different covers and stuff like that. But like, we are a collector. We are in a collector space, right? Like we all collect vinyl. We have our different reasons and our different like niches and our different things or whatever. And I absolutely can't stand when people like ride and try to really degrade new music for doing the same thing that old music is still doing. So that's my
Thank you very
controversial
much.
take.
Yeah.
Preach it. I'm going to go next because my musical opinion that usually gets me in trouble is that Pink Floyd is just not it. Like 45 minutes for 5 songs is just not it. Like, can we not have a song that long? Like, I know Taylor has a 10-minute song, but that's one song. And that was like a bonus track. So 45 minutes for one song with like not as many lyrics in it, just not it for me. That's Pink Floyd, I think, is just, you guys can have it. Take it. Keep it in the 70s. I apologize. I know there's a lot of people who love Pink Floyd. I'm glad that you do. I don't. And I just, I know, don't let Jake hear me. I just think that it's a little much. Like, I don't think they're bad. That's not it. I just think the hype is just so much for them. And there's other artists that we could be talking about.
I think we're really dogpiling on Pink Floyd.
I know. I
No,
mean, that
but
was already going to be my answer. I didn't know
I
Audra's
think
answer. So,
right. No, yeah, we're just on the same wavelength, kind of. No, I think with Pink Floyd, I think it's a lot of things that people really like the lore like around Pink Floyd, right? Like that's like such a big part of that. But I also feel I only like a certain subsection of Pink Floyd, so I feel that too.
okay, Donna.
Is it my turn? Okay, well, I didn't pick someone as ubiquitous as Pink Floyd, but I do have an artist that I just don't particularly care for. I think he's overrated and his lyrics are too repetitive, and it's Lenny Kravitz. And so, if you're a Lenny Kravitz fan, I'm sorry, but it's just I cannot stand it because if I feel like every time one of his songs comes on, it's just the same lyrics over and over again. So, but I hate to yuck somebody's yum, and that's the thing I try to not do. But we all have our own opinions. But that's mine. So
But that's the thing about music. Like, we all like what we like, and that's fine. And
right,
you can like what you like, and I can like what I like.
yeah,
It's okay. That's okay to not like what other people like,
it's
as long
okay for
as,
me to admit what I don't like.
yeah,
So,
yeah,
but I'm
we can
perfectly
all
fine with
like,
you liking it.
yeah, we can all, right. That's fine that you like it. Just
Yeah.
don't like try to make me like it because you like it. If I don't like it, I
Mhm.
just don't like it. And that's it. I'll try it. I tried Pink Floyd. I like some of their songs. I don't remember which album it was that I listened to that I was just like, I can't anymore. It's whichever one is 45 minutes long and 5 songs.
Stacey, I did
Allie.
that to you today when you were listening to one of my picks for the top 500. She texts me and she's like, Allie, dot, dot, dot. I'm like, okay. Like, but listen to this song.
I was like,
Trying
Allie,
to
this is not it.
get it, but that's it. I mean, you can't. Yeah, not everybody's gonna like it.
Yeah. Allie, your
I do.
unpopular or opinion that gets you in trouble?
Okay. This is a very hot topic recently, I think. Separating art from the artist. Um, that one, that's tough for me. I feel like for the most part, yes, but there has to be a limit, right? So I can recognize that Kanye was great in his prime 20 years ago, but now, maybe not. No, yeah, exactly. So I just think there has to be boundaries, like, yeah, separate the art from the artist, but like draw a line somewhere. I feel like you have to. There's just certain things that I think can't be forgiven.
Yeah.
I agree with that.
Um,
I think everybody has this like personal threshold, right? And
Mm,
you kind of have to develop like your own moral to where your threshold is on that.
yeah.
But also like in kind of that regard, because I used to be a very big Kanye West fan, like back before absolutely everything. But when stuff like that comes out, like it eventually just tarnishes your own opinion so much of them that even if you wanted to enjoy it, like that's just gone, right?
Yeah.
So I feel that it's a very like moral question, right?
Yeah, I agree with everything. I don't think there's anything else I could add to that. I mean, it
Yeah.
is what it is, but it's it gets to a point where you've crossed a line and you've gone on the dark side and it's not okay anymore.
Right.
Like
Mhm.
it's okay to be controversial and it's okay to do things and it's okay to have an opinion but when you start to hate, when there's hate in it, that's when it kind of gets to be a little much
Yeah.
for me at least. Okay, last one. What's an artist that you'll defend forever, no matter what anyone says? I'm going to answer first because everybody knows my answer. It's Taylor Swift. It would also be Dave Matthews Band because I feel like they're both, for some reason, highly talked about and hated artists for some people. But Taylor Swift and Dave Matthews Band would be mine. Donna?
Of course, mine is Sting. Okay, I've got another one, but a lot of people like think Sting is pretentious or he's overrated, and yeah, he is a little pretentious. You know, he has a high opinion of himself, but I think it's served him well. You know, so that I will defend him forever and for the musical genius that he is, because he really is educated and he attempts to educate himself on a daily basis. So I will defend that. And my other one is Richard Marx. He, I love Richard Marx. Okay, he's not just some one hit, two hit, three hit wonder from the '80s. Like I've seen him recently in concert, and he has not lost a single note of his range. Um, he has incredible vocal range, and I think he doesn't get kind of the credit that he deserves. And if you listen to like some of his albums that didn't make the charts, um, they're great, and I love them. So I will defend him forever.
Audra?
Okay, I have a couple of different. I really don't have any artist that I ever feel like I could go to bat for and defend 100%. It drives Trent absolutely crazy that like I can really like an artist, and if there's an album that I don't like I'm just not going to have it in my collection. Like I just have no interest in owning it. Like I don't want that piece. Like I'm a huge Bjork fan. Biophilia, her most recent album came out, and it's not for me. Like I'm not into it. Like everybody else can like it, but it's not something that I like. Same thing with Taylor Swift. I was really in. I was a Swiftie. I went to the Eras tour. I had a whole bunch of Taylor Swift stuff all over my house. I have all the snow globes. I have RSD stuff. Like I have all of it. And then Showgirl came out, and it's not for me. Like I don't. It's not my tea. And I feel like I can't like defend something or like something just because it's an artist. So I end up not being a complete fan, I feel like, of really anybody, because in my opinion you're only as good as your last release. And kind of like how I consume music. And like I get that that's not from everybody. Like Trent is definitely like David Bowie. Even if it's bad David Bowie. Like, we're gonna have it in our collection. And I'm very much like, yeah, I don't yeah, no, like I don't need that. So there are a few artists that I really do like, but I really don't know if there's anybody that I would ever 100% defend.
Yeah.
Everyone's
I think
gotten
I
so.
took the question differently. Like Dave Matthews Band, for example, Every Day. I did not like that album. When they switched to electric guitar,
Right.
I didn't like it. I don't own it. I listened to it maybe 5 times, but like good for him for trying something new. Like that would be my defense. Like good for you
Right.
trying
Yeah.
something new.
I
Like
don't I
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't like, even like if I see like personal growth or whatever, like I just yeah, I don't know. I feel like I have like a very like I'm not like a complete discography or like complete like artist defender. It's more like a like an album by album kind of like release or time period basis for
So then
me.
what is an album that you would defend forever no matter what somebody says? Question for Audra then.
Man, that's a good one.
I'll let you think about it while Allie answers.
Yes.
Okay.
Okay. Yeah, this one, we asked it last time too, and it was tough for me. Because I guess I kind of maybe feel the same way as Audra, you know, like things change. You changes. The only one I could maybe really say, and I recently watched the Netflix documentary about Michael Jackson's trial. And that it was so interesting to me because I was too young to really know what was going on or be able to follow it, you know, when it was happening. So I didn't know a lot. And I don't know. It's hard, kind of taking it back to what we were just talking about, is separate the art from the artist. It's like, okay, they said he was not guilty, right? But some things that they discussed were just like really unimaginable. And like, why would this be a thing if it wasn't, like, why would you even think to say this if it wasn't real? You know what I mean? So I guess I would say MJ, but that's tough because who really knows, you know? I don't know. And that's something that's like a boundary that probably cannot be crossed.
We got some good debating going on in the chat today.
Yeah.
We're riling them up down there.
Yeah. Okay, Audra, did you think about an album?
Yes. There are definitely a few. Two comes to mind. And honestly, I think it's a defensive kind of thing because I don't think it was taken seriously enough when it came out, which I absolutely have a major thing for Phoebe Bridgers' Punisher album. It is an absolute fantastic piece of indie rock and like kind of folk rock and reflection, and everything about it is perfect. And I mean, it was kind of like it was reviewed well, right? Like it was kind of accepted well, and definitely in some of the groups that I'm part of and discussions and stuff, there were a lot of people that didn't take that album seriously. I think it also kind of happened with Lana Del Rey's Norman Rockwell, where it's you listen to it and it's inarguably like a masterpiece. And then you get into the comment section where you see a bunch of people being like garbage. And you're like, okay.
Or overrated.
Yeah.
Right. Like, you know, so like I do have a couple of albums, right, or like specific periods of an artist that I will say like, no, like this actually has like so much more merit than you're giving credit to. Another one would be Taylor Swift's Red, which I even dismissed when it came out. It was not on my radar as a great singer-songwriter album. And then revisiting it, you're like, oh wow, no, actually this is a fantastic piece of art. So I do have quite a few albums that I would be like ride or die. Like I'm gonna like, you know, we're gonna have a talk.
Yeah.
But I think like discography wise, or, you know, as Allie was talking about, like even artists' personal lives, like you have to completely kind of like, I think, disconnect, because there are some misses or, you know, some controversy and stuff that, you know, you can't really handle.
Now, Red OG or Red Taylor's version? Which one do you think is better?
I am not a fan of all of the re-recordings, but I think that she absolutely nailed the re-recording. Yeah. I also love the original though. Like yeah. I think that it is the best re-recording.
It is the only one that made it in my top 10 was Red TV. Yeah. It is the only one I think is better than the original. Well, I do think 1989 is better than the original. Yeah. But I think that Red Taylor's version is such an improvement over the original that I just think it's much better. I just think it's better.
I feel like it's like, you know, you can kind of hear her emotion and kind of what she was going through in the process through the original. But the remake, the Taylor's version, she has really the production is better. Yeah. The bonus tracks are better. Like you can tell that she had more that she was edited down to.
Yeah.
that she wanted to kind of flesh it out. So I will stand on that one.
Yeah, and that's kind of how I feel about 1989. Maybe not all of them, but 1989 Taylor's version, the production was better. A lot of people didn't like it because it had a little more synth. But I know Audra loves that. I love it. I thought it was a lot better.
But the extra tracks are good too on that one.
Yeah, they are. So that is the conclusion of the question and answer round. So now we're going to get into presenting our top 500 picks. So I will go first. Because that's a great transition to probably the last Taylor album I will add to this list. This is Taylor Swift, Tortured Poets Department, the anthology. I am using the entire thing, all of the songs for this. So for those that don't know, this came out April 19th, 2024. I had a listening party. Molly was there with my group text chat. We had like an on-screen listening party through Discord or FaceTime. I can't even remember. And we listened to the whole first album. And then we were like, wait, what's happening? What's happening? And about 5 minutes or so after we finished, she literally dropped another 15 songs. And we were just like, what is going on? Because originally you just had the first songs. And then she dropped this whole basically other album. And we end up with 31 songs plus 4 acoustic songs afterwards. It is a masterpiece. It talks about grief after relationships. It talks about fame. She wrote this. What I think is amazing about this is that she wrote this on the Eras tour. She was touring, doing 3.5-hour shows every weekend, 2 to 3 nights a weekend, and then writing and recording and all of that other stuff. It's got like 2 different worlds. You've got the first one that came out, the first tracks that came out that are with Jack Antonoff and have like synth pop and stuff like that. And then you have the second set that was with Aaron Dessner that is more like piano and folky and quiet. She talks a lot about relationships and feelings and fame and how she feels about fame and what's going on in her life then. It's very raw. It's emotional. I feel like this is the most poetic Taylor has ever been in her life on an album, at least. There's a lot of parts to this album that I relate to, that like I listen to and I'm like, can you get out of my head? Like, why are you like, how do you know this about me? For example, there's a song called The Black Dog where the main character finds out that their spouse has cheated on them by his GPS because he was going to a bar called The Black Dog, meeting somebody who was too young to know a song that they liked together. Well, my ex-husband cheated on me. I found out through his location, and he was going to a bar called The Green Frog. And he was with somebody who was 18 years younger than him. And I was just like, can you just get out of my head right now? Like, can you get out of my head? So, yeah. I remember also on our listening party, LOML came on. Every single person had to turn their camera off because we were all just like wrecked from the song because it's so emotionally raw, listening to it and the lyrics and like just going through it. Like, that's what I love about this album is that it's so raw and real. But then you also get like, I Can Do It With a Broken Heart, which is such a fun song. And I never thought I would ever be singing, but daddy, I love him and I'm going to have his baby. Like those are the weirdest lyrics ever, but then they make sense. Like after I heard that, I was like, there's no way I'm going to be like, I'm going to have his baby. Oh yeah. Okay. I get it. Okay. That's cool. Like, it's just, it has that potential to draw you in. It debuted at #1 in dozens of countries. It became the best-selling album worldwide of 2024. It was her first U.S. album to debut with over 2 million units. It spent 17 weeks at #1. It is 8 times platinum. It saw every track chart, with Taylor becoming the first artist to occupy the top 14 positions in the Hot 100 at the same time. Fortnite reached #1 worldwide, and it got 5 Grammy nominations, including Album of the Year. When it came out, most people loved it. Some people didn't like it. Some people said it was too long. There was too much to it. It was too many songs to delve in. It should have been 2 different albums. She should have waited. She should have edited down. But when I was doing my research, what I found interesting was that most critics who said that 6 months later went back and said, no, this is actually a very well written and cohesive album. Even if it is technically kind of two albums, it still kind of goes together. I also think like everyone expected her to do something super pop when she announced this, and she didn't. And I love that too. I love when Taylor goes out of the box and does something different. I mean, Folklore is my favorite album. Um, yeah, I don't know what else to say about it. If anyone else wants to add anything. But yeah, that's my first pick and probably my last Taylor for the list. Okay, who wants to go next?
I don't know if it's a word, but like as far as like prolificness, is there anybody else that is prolific in songwriting as she is currently in this world?
I
I
mean,
don't
she
think
just
there
got
is.
into the Songwriters Hall of Fame, so
I just
it's
I can't think of anyone else, in recent history that is just, constantly cranking out, as many songs as she does, and
yeah,
and they're all fantastic. You know, there's
And not even her own songs, but writing songs for others as well.
yeah, it's
yeah,
just amazing to me. It really
yeah.
is.
I mean, I feel like she's got to be like writing things on napkins. Like everywhere she goes, she's
hmm
got to be just like writing something down, typing in her phone. Like
I think she's
how?
been like that since childhood. It's got to be like
Yeah,
constantly like going
Yeah.
through
yeah,
her brain, and so just
yeah.
I'm
We don't
constantly
talk about
amazed by
Ryan
her.
Adams on the Women's Show.
Yeah. I think it reminds me a lot of like, I don't know if you've watched some like the documentaries with like Lennon and McCartney, and they're just like playing guitar, and then all of a sudden just like a melody pops out,
Yeah.
and then they're just like,
hmm
oh yeah, like, well, here's a song. I think we've seen some kind of behind the scenes process with Taylor, and
Mhm.
she definitely has that kind of ear, that kind of gift to just like have it like, the voice memos like just kind of like
Yeah,
free flowing out of her. So
yeah. One of
feel
my
that.
favorite things I've ever watched behind the scenes is her and Jack Antonoff doing Getaway Car when they're just like
Yes,
vibing back and forth, and then all of a
it
sudden,
just
snap!
clicks.
There's the song. Yeah, it's
I
amazing.
do think like being in like the Swifty verse is everybody when TTPV came out was like really writing like we are over Jack Antonoff, like he has done everything, like we just come off Midnights. And personally, as the double, like I was so excited when they did like the drop with Aaron Dessner kind of doing the back half of the album.
Hmm.
But personally, I prefer the front half.
I do too.
Like I do think there's like some really strong tracks
Hmm.
on the back half, but as a folklore slash Evermore girly, it was kind of shocking for me to be like, wow, no, you know what? Actually, Jack's got this one. I
Yeah,
think he inched ahead a little bit more over Aaron on those.
yeah. I listened to my Black Dog copy more than I listened to my anthology
I love
copy.
the Black Dog. That's the one copy that I'm
Yeah.
like, yes,
Yep.
I love that. I love that bonus track.
Yeah.
Cheers.
Cheers, Donna.
Okay, so let me see if I've got it here. Yep, you've already heard me talk about it. This is one of the soundtracks of my life. It's 10 Summoner Cells. This debuted, like I said before, I was just about to turn 14. So that's, really that music that you listen to, and like, especially I think like 11, 12, 13, 14, and later into your teenage years too, but like, especially like that time period, that really becomes, part of your personality. And so this is definitely my personality. So 93, um, you guys you seem so much younger than me. I feel like the old fart here, but if anybody remembers March of 93, there was a huge snowstorm in March of 93. Do you remember
I
that?
remember. I remember. I was. I'm a little bit younger than you, not too much, but
Yeah.
yes, it was like 4 feet.
Yes. I had snow up to my hips, and I was not used to that, being in Tennessee. But this album actually came out that week of that snowstorm. So, like, I remember, like, hearing about, like, I'd been hearing the songs on the radio, and I remember, um, hearing that the album had come out. And so I was, in the process of getting the CD then. But this was Sting's, I have to count it up, fourth solo album after The Police. So I think this is really where he found his groove in terms of his songwriting and just production value and getting his band together. That's something he always prided himself in, was like putting the right musicians together that really matched what he heard in his head. And you know, I often think of like, we're talking about Taylor here. I think of Sting and Taylor as being, um, very similar in that regard, because they're very intentional songwriters, and they surround themselves with good people, and I think that's what really successful musicians do. But so of course, this song has the hits that we all know. If I Ever Lose My Faith in You, that one won the Grammy for Song of the Year that year. Fields of Gold, um, Shape of My Heart. I think Nothing About Me. I think that one got played on the radio a little bit. There was like an alternate version that made it onto the radio back then. Um, but it's the in betweens. It's the flow of this album that makes it such a masterpiece to me. Like I said, he put some fabulous musicians on this album. Vinny Cayuta, I never say his name right. Cayuta. Is just a fantastic drummer, and I was lucky enough to get to see Sting perform with him. He was doing one of his like later tours, like 2017, and Vinny was back with him drumming. And oh my gosh, it changes so much when you have a drummer that's right there with you and in the pocket. It's phenomenal. If you listen to the track 7 Days, that's the one he's famous for, his drumming on that. It's in 5/4, which if you're not like a performing musician, that's a really hard thing to like really feel the groove of and keep together. And he lays it down. It's just phenomenal. Um, I remember back when I first listened to this album, as a teenager, I hated St. Augustine in Hell, because there is like a spoken word track right in the middle of it, and I just thought it was so bizarre and weird. It's as if the devil is talking, and I thought it was so just weird, and I would always skip that track. Okay, but like I said, nowadays this is no skip for me. It's a complete work of art, and like I adore Saint Augustine in Hell. His storytelling. If you don't know, Ten Summoner's Tales. Sting's real name is Gordon Sumner. So this was kind of a play on words of Ten Summoner's Tales, kind of like the Canterbury Tales, and you can tell by kind of the artwork, that's kind of the vibe that he was going for, like old English. I'm going to record in my castle, and and bring that whole vibe across, and that's what he does. It's like every song on here is telling an individual story. I mentioned before Shape of My Heart. It tells the story of a card player who he does not play for money. He does not play to gain fame. He does it because in his mind he's looking for answers. He's looking for what makes sense mathematically. It's a game of numbers, and eventually, you're going to figure out the pattern. And like I said before, that resonates so much with me. If you study enough, you're going to figure out the pattern of your life, and that's why that song means so much to me. So I could go on and on about this album. It's phenomenal, and it's probably his most popular of his solo albums. But I truly do think it's his masterpiece. It's really where he hit his stride. So there we go.
This was one of only 3 albums from all of you guys that I actually listened to all the way through without like skipping to a next song after getting like halfway through. And I thoroughly enjoyed it.
Yes.
I couldn't. I was not familiar. I was shocked at the. You're talking about his stacked hits on there. About how many tracks I had recognized from the radio. in that. And I do absolutely love that you were like, I found a skip track that I absolutely love now, because I have also become victim of the, oh, I hate this track, but I've listened to it eventually, and at one time it's like, I see it. This is a good track.
Yes, absolutely.
So
I hated You're on Your Own, Kid.
You did?
Hmm.
Wow.
what?
When it first came out, that was my least favorite song on the album. Now I love it. I'll play it over and over. But when it first came out, that was my least favorite.
That's why consuming an album as a whole, I think, is like such an important
Mhm.
experience, because
It
like
is.
some things you
Yes.
have to grow on.
Yeah.
Feel that.
Okay. You're up, Audra.
Oh yeah, cool. All right, so I get to talk about one of my favorite records, and I know it's a little bit of a trip. It's an optical illusion. So this is Animal Collective's Merriweather Post Pavilion. It is a 2009 instant classic, in my opinion. And to give you a little bit of backstory, Animal Collective is a collective of musicians from Baltimore, Maryland. It's going to be Panda Bear, those are names. They all have their own names. Panda Bear, AV Terror, Geologist, and Dan Deacon. So they called themselves the Collective because the idea was they were constantly going back to college and moving around and going to New York, that they could freely make albums and music without somebody. So you might have like 2 members release an album. You might have 3. They might do solo projects, and if you like this record, it's gonna unleash like a whole like world of music that all of these artists have created. So way back in 2009, after they finished their album Strawberry Jam, their guitarist, who is named Dan Deacon, was like, "Hey, I got stuff to do." So they go to Mississippi and they decide that they're going to record an album that has no guitars. Okay, so they had already been established kind of in like the indie rock scene, which was, they were kind of a bigger name at this point, and it was kind of like, I hate using the term, but it's like freak folk, neo psychedelia music. So it's rock sentimentalities and folk sentimentalities, but like major distortion, kind of feedback and playing with sounds and layers. And this album really is kind of a culmination of that, and I think some of their best work. So on this album, it's 3 of them. It's minus Dan Deacon, so it's the Geologist, Panda Bear, and AV Terror, and it's this culmination of sound that is very kind of like Brian Wilson, Beach Boys, like layered vocals over heavy distortion with 60s and 70s pop sensibilities. It's a very dense listen. But what you get is if you strip it all back, is some really finely structured pop music with a lot of distortion. So all the writing on this album is absolutely done by lyrically by AV Terror and Panda Bear, which are 2 of the main members. And what it's about, if you actually have to read the lyrics, because there's a lot of distortion on it, is it's a really mundane album. It's about love. It's about raising your children. It's about seeing your wife in a beautiful dress and being absolutely like smitten. It reminds me of Paul McCartney's Ram, in the sense that it's very much this like domestic album about some of the most basic things in life, but it's complicated musically. And you get kind of this like dichotomy of it. So absolutely some amazing music on this, that I have carried this album. This came with me when Trin and I got together. It was one of the first purchases I ever had on vinyl. This album absolutely changed how I felt about like a lot of music, and made me realize how much I really did love kind of like Brian Wilson. I highly recommend checking this out. It is a dense, psychedelic listen. Maybe take a gummy before get kind of elevated. But I think it's a 10 out of 10 for me.
I listened to it while doing laundry, and I thought it was amazing.
Yeah, that is. Honestly,
I already like Animal Collective. Like I already knew them. I discovered them on the
Yes.
Creastone soundtrack.
Yes.
So that's how I first heard Animal Collective. I have that in my collection, the Creastone soundtrack. And so I was so excited to see that you had picked Animal Collective because I've been wanting to listen to more. And I didn't really know where to go first. So I was really excited and I really, really liked this one.
Oh, I'm happy. It's yeah. They have such an amazing career, and I hate to sum it up and be like, I think this is like the best representation, but it's such a good album. And there's so much more to them, but this is, I think, kind of like the echelon of their career musically, and one that like I frequently return to. It was named one of the best albums of 2009. To really kind of make it, you like, Rolling Stone gave it a 2.5, but then retroactively like said, wait, oh, hold on, actually this is one of the best albums of the year. It didn't do like really kind of great commercially. It's not like one of these like major #1 albums. It was definitely like an indie rock album at the time, but it kind of grew in popularity. The song Summertime Clothes is one that I definitely recommend checking out if you don't want to digest the entire album, although I recommend you do. And that was kind of like the big single that kind of launched it. Yeah, I highly recommend checking this out if you're not, and if you definitely kind of like want to open your third eye, or have like, feel humble about your life at home, like taking your kids for a walk or whatever. Like, this album is very reflective, and a solid piece. So that is my first edition, and glad to share it with you guys because I think everybody should listen to this one at least once.
I'm gonna order it.
Nice.
I had never heard it before. I've never heard of Animal Collective in general. And I appreciate what you said about it. You put a lot of passion into that, and it makes me want to listen to it again. Because I listened while I was at work, and it was a little stressful for me. Yeah, it was like it scratched the itch in my brain, like the music did, but I could not focus on a single word he was saying. I had no idea what it was about.
It's so hard. Honestly, yeah. There's a track there. I highly recommend, like, if you're a lyrics person, which I also am, like, read it like when you're listening to it, because the distortion, but like the lyrics are so sweet, are so good. Like, he has a song about, the routine of taking his small child and putting them in a like a pram and then walking through the neighborhood. And, he has a song about seeing his wife in a dress and, absolutely being smitten with her. And there's all these really sweet kind of little moments that I think are intentionally drowned out by kind of the vocal effects and delivery. But I could imagine, like, on first listen, you're like, wait a second.
Yeah.
Whoa.
Yeah, I did not pick up on any of that. But yeah, I'll try again, read the lyrics, and maybe when I'm at home and not doing anything else, so I can actually like focus on it.
Okay, Allie, you're up next.
Okay, so my first one, I'm gonna do Tyler Childers' Purgatory. So this is a country folk, kind of bluegrassy, even honky tonk type album. We've got a little bit of everything going on in here. So it's his first full album. I know he did maybe some EPs prior to this, but it was released on his own label that he co-owns with somebody else. I don't remember their name right at this moment. And it was produced by Sturgill Simpson, which I think is pretty cool just in general for your first album to come out. So musically, I think this album is really just genre bending. You've got the feel of like old school country, but you get a little bit of bluegrass, you get a little bit of folk. You can hear fiddle, but you can also hear electric guitar. So it's just a super cool kind of mixture of music, and it's very just down home. He's talking about, it's not like bro country, where it's booze and girls and trucks and fishing. It's like he's talking about rural life and how it is to live in Appalachia, and his family history and love and his faith and guilt and regret and all of that. And I just think He is a beautiful storyteller. His voice is incredible. If you're not familiar with Tyler Childers, I would highly recommend listening to not only this album, but he has some live recordings. One is from our vinyl sessions. Nose on the Grindstone. That song is absolutely incredible. And his voice is just, it's something else. If you guys are familiar with Marcus King, I kind of put them a little bit in the same box, but of course they do sound very distinct. But it's that same vibe, like just really deep and meaningful. You can feel emotion in his voice, and I just think he's awesome. And it's kind of a reminder of what country used to be, not like the Morgan Wallen that's on the top 40 right now, like it kind of takes you back a little bit, but is also modern. We're not talking about chuck wagons and sitting around the fire, but it's modernized a little bit, but it kind of gives you that vibe.
This was my Allie, It's Not It album for Allie, but it's not because it's bad. It's just I like a certain kind of country. I do not like modern country. I like Garth Brooks, Clint Black country. This was a little too country for me. However, right after I said that, the song that I don't remember what it's called, White Roads,
White
that
House
one,
Road.
White
Yeah.
House Road. I listened to that entire song, and I thought that one was very good. So at least I got one song out of it. I may go back and listen to other songs from him to see if there's something else. I have a thing with voices too. Sometimes I just can't do a voice, and I think that's it. I think I just can't do his twang. I think that it's too much for me. But I do see, I now see exactly what you're saying. Like, it's bringing it back to like old school country. It's not talking about the same things that like the current country artists are and stuff like that. So hearing you talk about it, it does bring a little bit more perspective.
Yeah.
He's where I'm from. So I'm originally from Eastern Kentucky. So right where Ohio and West Virginia and Ohio meet. In Trent, that's where I met Trent, and before we moved to Columbus. So Tyler Childers used to run in the same circles that we used to. So I used to go to these house parties in Huntington, West Virginia, and he was just this weird redheaded kid that was there that we never, like, I didn't really know who he was. So when I moved up here, my mom was like, oh, there's this kid, and he's playing. My mom's really into like bluegrass and Americana, as she calls it, music. And she was like, she's going to all these shows and these really small clubs like around the tri-state area, and it was Tyler Childers, and he's become this like extreme hometown hero and advocate of this very rural community in Kentucky. And he comes back and does shows, and not only is he a fantastic musician, which I'm not a huge fan either. It's not my cup of tea, but like I respect everything that he does, and I do like Purgatory. I think Country Squires is my go-to for his discography, but he's a fantastic individual. He's done a lot of really great advocacy work. So kudos to that. I was very excited to see that because my mom is like the biggest Tyler Childers fan that's ever existed. Like will literally like do anything, like flown to Colorado and everywhere to see him. So good stuff.
That's awesome.
I was excited to listen to this one again.
Yeah.
How did this not come up in our like controversial opinions before about like the controversy of like modern country? Because I think a lot of people have strong opinions about that.
Yeah, I bet that would be an opinion that probably is not liked very much, like because there are a lot of very big modern country fans, but it's just not.
There's just as many people that just really push that away, and so.
Yeah.
Sorry, I have to be one of them because I grew up in the 80s, and so like I think of like country as like 80s style of country, and like to me like country of today is very far beyond that, and I'm all about evolution and growth, and but I don't know, just somehow it doesn't appeal to me as much as the older stuff.
It's pop country, really, is what
exactly.
it is. It's kind of like made for like country radio, like I drink beers and I ride a pickup truck, and there's like really like no like discussion. I agree. Like I think like Tyler Childers and like that kind of sound is more.
I feel like as soon as She Thinks My Tractor's Sexy came out, everything kind of like went the other direction.
Yes.
Like before that, it was like Chattahoochee and Brooks and Dunn. You had Brooks and Dunn, you had Garth Brooks, you had Clint Black, you had all of those people. And before that, you had Johnny Cash and all of the classic people. And then all of a sudden, we made it more marketable. I think is what it is. It was
Exactly.
more marketable. I
And to
think
me,
that's kind of
it's a
what it
question of
turned.
authenticity. It's like,
Yeah.
are you just
Molly got it.
putting
It's
yourself into a
bro
box,
country.
or
Pro country.
That's a good word for it.
Yeah.
I think it, like personally, and kind of being from that area and being from like a small town, like my personal music tastes were kind of like a rejection because I was just, that was all that was around me.
I grew up in
Right?
Middle
So
Tennessee. Okay, I'm in the shadow of Nashville, so yeah.
yeah, it's kind of like a rebellion to
Mhm.
listen to like rock music
Mhm.
in that area because the mainstream is that kind of country music.
Right.
I feel that.
Well, I've often like shared my experience with this, but growing up in the '80s in, in Middle Tennessee, at least, this was very ubiquitous amongst like my peers as a kid. You did not admit that you listened to country music because country music was considered older people's music. It was your parents' music, and like I remember going to the store and buying a country tape and covering it with a jacket so nobody would see me buying it because it was that like shameful to admit that you liked country music. And I don't know if that was just like a Tennessee thing because we were so close to Nashville, um, or if that was like universal. But yeah, country was seen as like your parents' music, and totally it was like almost like a rebellion against that. So
Yeah. Tucker, if you're still here, just close your eyes, cover your ears. My next addition to the Essential 500 is Charlie XCX Brat. I only own the remix album, so that's what I'm going to show you. Those who know, there's like a bazillion variants of this, as well as different copies. There's Brat, and it's the same, but with 3 more songs. And then there's Brat, but it's completely different, but it's still Brat. So there's just a whole bunch of stuff that came out. But the reason that I put this on the list is because Brat not only is an album, but it became a word that got added to the dictionary. It became a phenomenon. It became a way of life for people. There was Brat Summer. People used the word brat to describe things. It was an entire phenomenon. It just kind of like took over. It's, sometimes people have like, the album of the year or like whatever takes over or something like that. But this was like a cultural moment. Like the album literally became a cultural moment. And at the same time, Charlie was vulnerable on the record. She talks about getting older. She talks about, being at her peak, should she get pregnant, have a baby. There's a song on there about Taylor, about secretly having somebody hate you. Like there's a lot of depth to it. If you actually read the lyrics, when you listen to the lyrics, it is not just, pop dance music. I think it's a little bit deeper than that. It came out in June of 2024, and it was all everyone could talk about the entire summer. Again, the summer of 2024 was unofficially called Brat Summer. Like that is what people called it. She talks about female friendships, jealousy between women, internet culture, fame and identity, aging in pop music, partying and celebration and escape, anxiety about the future. And then she takes this album and then she gets a ton of artists to come in and collaborate and remix every song, which I personally think is the better album. But for purposes of the essential, this is where it started. And so that's why this one's on the list. She has Lord, Japanese Breakfast. She's so many people. Billie Eilish. So many people on that remix album. It's amazing. She still kind of kept her club pop vibe. It's a little bit house. It's got some techno. It's got all of that stuff. I told you Tucker would be mad. There's just so much to it. Like you could describe fashion as Brat. You could describe you could like look at your food and be like, that's so Brat. It was just the craziest thing to happen so quickly for it. Not liking Brat is her unpopular opinion. Tucker is so Brat.
Okay,
Tucker can be Brat. Yeah. Very Brat. Very Brat. This debuted at number 3 on the top 200. This was the highest release from Charlie. It reached number 2 on the UK album chart. It won Best Dance Electronic Album at the Grammys. Von Dutch won Best Dance Pop Recording. It received additional nominations, including recognition for its remix project, and again, inspired Brat Summer, which was adopted across social media, fashion, politics, and advertising, and was recognized as one of the defining cultural trends of 2024. Collins Dictionary added Brat and made Brat the word of the year in 2024. I mean, there's not like a ton to say about it, but I think that when an album sparks a whole cultural revolution and a word that turns into a term that turns into a lifestyle for people, that is huge and influential. And that's why I added it to the list.
I think it's a great ad.
I agree.
I think it's such a, I mean, it still is relevant, but that was such a moment. Like I will never not see that color green and be like, Brat.
Charlie.
Yep.
And I think that she kind of launched her career at that point into what she wanted it to be. Oh,
Molly,
is it on?
We're not, you're right, Molly. We're not friends anymore.
Mm-hmm.
Oh,
I love
sorry.
this. No, it's okay. Sorry, keep going. I just saw that and I was like,
is my mic not? No, I think
No.
It's really Brat to not like Brat. Like I'm telling you, like I'm sorry, not liking Brat is Brat. Like that was what Charlie. We had I've been a Charlie fan for a while, and when that album was announced, I was posting pictures on our Discord, and a couple people were like, "Oh, she's just sexualizing herself and all this stuff," and I was like, "I don't think that you understand that this is like part of a master vision that she has for this like entire album cycle, and she really kind of nailed this whole vibe, and I think the addition is absolutely qualified."
Thank
So,
you. I know Thomas really loves Charlie XCX because in one of Shark's late night shows, I had Shark play Always Let the Good Girls Go or Always Let the Good Ones Go, the video. If you've seen that video, you know what is in it and what she looks like in it. And Thomas loved it. So like it surprised me when you would say like somebody would say she's just sexualized. And I'm like, no, that's her. That is just Charlie. Like
right.
That's just
like
how
they were
she
like,
is.
People are like, yeah, she's doing that to sell albums. I'm like, well, but yes, but also like this is part of like the greater statement for what she is, and kind of like owning it as a part of her persona. It's so Brat that you added this to the top 500, Stacey.
Thank you. Thank you. Love it. Speaking of, Charlie has a new album coming out next week.
I'm on the fence with some of the singles, but like I'm ready for her to like make me eat crow. Like I want it to be really good, but like I'm not impressed yet.
So somebody that went to an early listening party last week said, if you like Charlie as Charlie, like Charlie to her core, you will like this album.
Like vroom vroom Charlie.
Mm-hmm. Like Charlie as like not Brat Charlie, but
right?
Charlie XCX. You'll like the album. Right. It's not very Brat.
I feel like this is so outside of my wheelhouse. I feel so old because
you are not. You're like 3 years older than me. You are not.
I
that
know,
old.
but
I
like
know
I'm totally not up on like so much of the modern stuff, and it's not that I think it's bad or anything. It's just I don't know. I listen.
You
to
like what you
old
like
stuff, and
yeah.
I feel like I don't keep up very much with.
There's a lot.
And my daughter's the
there
one that
is a lot.
Like involved in some of it. She's what made me a Taylor fan. I really didn't appreciate Taylor until she started listening and started collecting her albums, and then I was like, oh my God, Taylor is like a freaking genius. Just like I was talking about before with her songwriting. Oh my God, I mean it's incredible, and I feel like I miss a lot of that because I love what I love, and I tend to listen to it over and over again. So.
I mean, and I think that's what's great about this podcast and what the men allow us to do coming on here and having guests on is that everybody gets come and bring a different opinion of what they like and they think should be on the list. And sometimes somebody brings something that either you've never heard of or you didn't appreciate enough and you get to listen to it or talk about it or hear about it and then go check it out. For example, Tucker, Flo Floyd Bundy. He had never listened to Taylor, didn't like Taylor. I had him listen to Folklore. He bought Folklore. Like this is the thing that happens, in the podcast. You can talk about things that artists at G Flip. I presented G Flip. No one had heard of them. Then people went and listened to them and were like, this is great. Why have I not heard this before? Empire of the Sun, I think, was another one that people didn't appreciate enough. But that's why I love the podcast for what it is, and Whatnot music community in general for what it is, because we can
Absolutely.
all
Yeah.
share what we like and talk about what we like and maybe find something we thought we didn't like or didn't know we liked. But whether it's new or old, I don't, it doesn't matter. It is what you like. And that's why music is great. But I think that's a great transition because you are up, Donna.
Well, I'm bringing back an oldie because I'm an oldie. And I showed you this before. I just picked up the Japanese version of Toto 4 this week. And, we were saying, I can't believe this was not already on the list because this is just a classic album. I mean, if you haven't heard Africa, have you even been on the internet in the last 10 years? Um, and I think that's great because it brought, like, my daughter's 12, and then I have like 20 and 18-year-old, and it brought them into, the whole Africa explosion online is, brought them into it and has made them appreciate, some of this older music. It's taken them kind of backwards. So, but this is from 1982. So I was a wee thing. I was 3 years old, I guess, when this album came out. But actually, one of my very first memories that I can go back and remember involves this album. Um, we were living in Texas, and I was about 3, and I remember being in a laundromat and Rosanna was playing, and that's literally like one of my earliest memories is hearing Rosanna, and it's just, I look at it now from adult eyes. I'm like, well, no wonder it kind of grabbed you because, that the groove of Rosanna. I mean, um, if you're not familiar with this album, I mean, we have some fabulous musicians on this album. They were a bunch of like studio musicians. They played on the Thriller album for Michael Jackson. A lot of them did. And I didn't realize that until like the last like year, and I think I learned that on Whatnot from just watching shows and hearing people talk about it. I didn't realize that all these guys played on the Thriller. And I'm rambling. I'm sorry. I'm very ADHD. I bring notes here, there, and everywhere. But uh, Jeff, what's his last name? Porcaro.
Poro.
The drummer. My gosh, his drum. I talk about drumming a lot because I'm a former band director, and so really feeling groove is something that I focus on. And man, just feeling the groove in that song, the shuffle of it. Um, I can't believe that me as a 3-year-old it grabbed me, but it did, and that's the power of music. Is if it's good, it can grab you no matter what your age is. It'll take you for a ride, and it has for me. I absolutely love this album. It won the Grammy Award for Album of the Year. Rosanna won Record of the Year. So I guess if I have to have a first memory song, that's a pretty good one to have. Of course, Africa is probably the best known. And it's funny, seeing the videos over the last few years of people using Africa for different things. And somebody said it's a coded message for being a werewolf. if you listen to the lyrics, he's really saying that he's a werewolf. I don't know if you've ever heard that, but it's kind of funny if you listen to the lyrics of it. When we got this record in the mail, my husband and I were listening to it, and we were listening to I Won't Hold You Back, and that's kind of a soft rock kind of staple. And he's like, I freaking love this song. He's like, I don't care if you think I'm a pansy for loving this song. I'm like, I don't think you're a pansy. I think it's a great song. To me, it doesn't come across as like yacht rock or soft rock. It's just a good song. And this is another album that truly is just like beginning to end, no skips. I appreciate it for its completeness. Man, I think this one and 10 Summer Tales have it in common. Just the quality, the musicianship of everyone that plays on it. You know, they hit their stride. They're in their groove. You know, this is, you know, their best known album. I think the one before this was not so good, and they were, you know, really trying to put something special together for this one, and definitely they did, and it's another highlight of their career. So, Toto 4.
Fun
Great
fact.
pick. That's a
Yes,
great
that's a
pick.
great pick. It was an amazing listen. I had never listened again to the whole album all the way
Yeah.
through. Fun fact, Ryder could play Africa on the xylophone and the piano.
Oh, awesome.
I have videos of my daughter also singing Africa. So I
Oh,
think
love
we're
it.
I think we're all on
There's
the
some
same page there.
amazing renditions out there. When I was teaching band, uh, I would, you know, look up marching band videos, and I found a marching band in like Canada, and the band director had arranged Africa for his marching band, and it was incredible. It was incredible, and I didn't realize how complex some of the parts were until he was arranging them for the band. I was like, oh my God, that was like incredible musicianship. You know, these parts were not easy. Um, so yeah, that's my take on it. There's some great like vocal arrangements out there in like 4 to 6 parts, and it's insane. And that's the mark in, you know, in my neck of the world, you know, as a music teacher, that's the mark of really good music, is when it translates well into being arranged for other ensembles. So
Yeah, and I think that the fact that, you know, Audra's daughter sang it and my son plays it, can play it, it's just saying, shows that the music holds the test of time. Like it's
Definitely.
still
Yeah.
present in
yeah,
today's world. It's not falling off. It's still relevant to music. So, good pick. Odd.
Africa is not a
Oh,
Weezer song. I
first off, I want to
like
say
that version too.
the Pecora brothers are like I see what we do on Whatnot with Cap City Pop. We deal a lot with City Pop, which is from like typically the 70s and 80s. And they went to Japan and they produced and worked on and played music on so many albums. You look on their notes and their little names both show up very frequently. Uh, so small world, right? I have to bring out 3 records to kind of do this whole thing justice. So bear with me, because I originally had a different album picked, and I had to be like Stacey. Got to make some edits. So I did. My next edition is the album "This Is Happening" by LCD Sound System, and it was so hard for me because it's part of a trilogy where I really think he kind of refines this sound between rock and kind of like dance electronic Daft Punk kind of sounds. So he first starts off with the album LCD Sound System, self-titled. I think the album cover kind of does it justice. This happened in 2005. And it's definitely a play with more like rock sounds and electronic and house sounds. It's on his label DFA, Death from Above, which also from New York, and kind of had that sound in a lot of indie rock music. So after this album, he released this album called Sound of Silver. This was originally on my pick, but I was like, wait a second. This album is good. It is a refinement of that sound, right? But he's not quite hit his stride. So my official pick, what actually has to go on there, is the 3rd album by LCD Sound System, which is This Is Happening. And in contrast to the Animal Collective album that I was talking about earlier, this album is definitely James Murphy, which is the lead singer of LCD Sound System, at a different part of his life. It's 2010 when this album comes out, and he is currently in the midst of a divorce. So you have a lot of those themes and discussions about, you know, leaving somebody and kind of starting new, like over this really sparse at times, but slow building electronic and rock music. So this was recorded in LA back in 2010, and it really is a culmination of sound that he was working on for the previous 2 albums and really refined and perfected. I think this album is absolutely an essential listen and really kind of changed the indie rock scene when it came out, because everybody was like, holy crap, we can have a rock album that we can also dance to. And that's really what it is. the tracks on it are, they're very slow burn. Like the opening track, Dance Yourself Clean, is very much like he takes his time. Like you're not going to get that instant dopamine rush. Like it's a slow build until the beat drops. And the whole album kind of reminds me of, I don't know, like have you guys ever had like where you leave a house or you leave like you're moving out from somewhere and it's kind of this like bittersweet like moment of leaving. It's kind of like having that moment and then deciding that you're going to have this dance party on top of it. Like it's like Daft Punk for middle-aged people going through a divorce. And I really think he nails it. Like his lyrics are biting. They're really emotional. They make me feel all kinds of feelings. Listen to this album. And the cover is very Bowie-esque. Like this, it reminds me of Lodger. Actually, the whole album I think is very Bowie-esque in his like vocal delivery and sounds. This one is one that will, I don't know, it makes you sad, but it's also very kind of like letting it go, like cathartic. So yeah, I highly recommend checking this one out. I think it's probably one of the best albums like of all time. Like it's very high in my personal list. So James
pause
Murphy,
real
LCD
quick.
Sound System. Oh,
Sorry, I have two special guests who want to say hello. Sorry. This is my niece. She wants to say hello.
oh,
Say it to the microphone.
Hi.
Okay. And say bye. Okay. And Ryder wants to say hello too. No fart, just hello.
Fart.
No, just say hello.
Hello, fart.
Okay, go now. You're all done. He comes into my shows and everybody asks him to say fart. So he
That's
thinks
what
that every
he's
time he
doing.
gets
Oh,
in
yeah,
front of
I've
the
seen-
microphone, he can say fart.
I've seen
Well,
that.
can't take on
That
him
happened
now.
a couple times.
I
It's
got
so
up to go out
cute.
there to use the bathroom. They're like, "You're on YouTube? Can I be on YouTube?" I'm like, "You can say hello, and that is it, and then you go back to what you're doing."
Very controlled. No, I get
Yes.
that.
I listened to this while I was working today. I think it made me much more productive
Yeah.
during the time I listened to it. I noticed, I think just because of how the music is, you know, and I really enjoy that kind of music. And I think it just kind of like pumped me up. And I was just like, yeah, let's get it done. Let's do it. Let's get it done. Let's do it. So I really like this one.
No, it's definitely like a dance in your work chair kind of like thing. Yeah, I think like yeah, nailed it. But yes, this one like if you don't want to check out the whole trilogy, just skip straight to this one. But I think this is definitely like an album experience. And yeah, probably one of my favorites of all time, 100%.
I listened
Allie?
to the middle one at work. I can't remember what it was called. I listened to a few songs on there. And at first, I think it was All My Friends. That was like
Oh
9 minutes long.
yes,
And I was like,
yes.
oh my God, when is it going to start? Like, because it was just like, it was so interesting. And I wasn't sure that I was going to like it at first. And then I listened to a few other songs and then I kind of went back to it. And after a few listens, I was like, I get it. And like, I really like his voice. I was kind of hearing a bit of like Jack White. I don't know, like a little bit of like White Stripes sound in the songs that I listened to. And I really enjoyed it. And I added all 4 of the songs that I listened to my playlist. So
Yeah, just because like I had the one before that, which is Sound of Silver, because of the song.
I'm sorry.
Yes. So All My Friends and what's the name of the other track? What was the? Hold on. Someone Great
Someone
and All My
Great,
Friends.
yeah.
So okay, so Someone Great is about the death of his therapist.
Okay.
And it's such a heavy song because he's talking and it's such a dance song. I think that's another reason why I love this, is because you're dancing and you're also like he's singing about some like really heavy stuff. Like it's like Daft Punk, but like also, you know, he's talking about, so he goes to the funeral of his therapist and how upset he is going to his therapist's funeral that he can't talk to his therapist about it.
Oh.
And it's him talking to his wife at the time, who he ends up divorcing in the next album. But like, I really, I didn't even get a chance to touch on that, but I think that's one of the great parts of that is that it's such a dancey album. But once you kind of strip it back and listen to the lyrics, and of course I read about what he was doing the entire time, but he's incredibly witty and an incredibly amazing songwriter. So it reminds me like if Daft Punk was actually like, not just, which no shame, Daft Punk absolutely loved that, or like their stuff's great, but they're not singing about around the world, but he's actually like telling like a whole story. So I'm so glad that you like those. Those are some of my favorite tracks. 100%.
Yeah.
Can y'all think of other artists that are like that, where the lyrics and kind of the vibe of the song can be kind of like polar opposites? I mean, because he's really talking about some really deep stuff, but yet it's dance. Are there
Right.
I feel like
I'm
some Nine
I'm
Inch
trying to
Nails
think.
songs are like that,
Yeah,
where the message is not equal to the music.
yeah,
Because there's some deep stuff in their stuff. This is the first thing that came to my head.
and that's one of the reasons why I try to take the time to actually like look up the lyrics and read them, or like if I'm listening on Spotify, I love that now you can like pull the lyrics up, because I feel like a lot of times you miss that, um, and you can miss the meaning of the song if you're not paying attention, and sometimes it takes you off in a different direction from what you think it is.
Yeah.
Yeah, like listening to something like incredibly poppy, and then like
Mhm.
you read it, and then you're like, okay, wow, no, actually, this has some kind of like deeper meaning.
Yeah,
I can't. There, I think there are a lot. I think Stacey's onto a couple, but
yeah,
I'd have to think about it. Right?
Don't want to bring Taylor up again, but like I Can Do It With a Broken Heart is one of those where she's literally saying like I'm
yeah.
so depressed,
Yes.
but I just act like it's my birthday and smile, like fake it till you make it. But
Yeah.
like literally I'm horribly depressed and hate
Yes.
everything about everything. But it's such a poppy pop bop song. But it's really about putting on a smiling face when you're feeling like your worst self.
Yeah.
Right.
Great
All
pick.
right. That's
Yeah. Allie?
Okay. My second one is Billie Eilish, Hit Me Hard and Soft. This is definitely my favorite album of hers. I got started listening to her in like the Bellyache era. So I feel has just progressed so much since then. Her vocals so much more mature, her songwriting so much more mature. It just
Mhm.
it's so emotionally raw and real, and it feels like with this album she really came into herself, and like she's finally confident and she's okay with talking about these tragedies that are happening in her life, whether it be, trying to figure out her identity and sexuality and dealing with relationships. Body image is a big thing for her. So I think it's stuff that we can all really relate to in a way. And it's so raw and real. And I love it. I think her and Phineas are just incredible songwriters and producers. And what is especially impressive to me, I'm sure you guys are mostly aware, she directed a tour movie with James Cameron for this tour, and it was incredible. Of course, it came out much longer after the tour, but it was so cool to see her in that element. Not only is she writing songs and helping produce this whole show, she's an incredible performer, and then she's helping produce while she's on tour, helping produce this movie with James Cameron. Like, how insane is that? And it was a good movie, and it was like the perfect accompaniment to the record. Oh, well, Tucker, I'm glad. What was interesting about this one, she didn't drop any singles prior to the release of it either, and that was intentional. She wanted it to be, like Audra, you were saying earlier, about having this like cohesive album that you were just meant to experience all in one. She didn't want to drop singles and everybody kind of pick it apart and wonder what the album is going to be like. She dropped it all and said, here it is, listen front to back. And I think it's awesome. You can feel all of the ups and the downs and the emotions, the hard and the soft, if you will. I just think it's a great record, and she's insanely talented.
It's an amazing album. I love
I
it.
agree.
It's not my favorite by her, but I love it. It's very very close to Where Do We All Go When We Fall Asleep. I just love that a lot. But this one, like when I listened to it, I was like, this is the best she's done since then. Like it was such. I mean, the first time I listened to it, I was blown away.
What is
And
your favorite? Oh,
chance on if you have Spotify, I'm sure somebody probably has something on Apple Music for it too. There's isolated vocals versions of the songs as well. There is a record. I have it. It is amazing. But if you can find it online, maybe even YouTube, listen to that, and you really can just feel the power of her voice, and it's
Yeah.
just so good.
My favorite is her debut, Where We All Go When We All Fall Asleep, which is on the list also. So that's our second Billie album on the list. Okay, this is our last round. My last pick is, I think, going to be the most recent release on the list, and that is Olivia Rodrigo and her very, very long titled album that I always get wrong because I always say the wrong word. See if I can remember. Yeah, okay, I was going to say it right. You Seem Pretty Sad for a Girl So in Love. That's the lenticular cover.
So pretty.
This album is so good. Like that's almost all I want to say about it, but I'm not. If you're an Olivia Rodrigo fan, then you know that her first two albums were amazing. She had Sour, amazing. Guts, amazing. It's like, now what's she gonna do for her third album? Can she do a 3-album run? That's really great. Yeah, she nailed it, hit it out of the ballpark. She, instead of writing a bunch of hit songs and a bunch of breakup songs, she kind of takes you through a relationship on the album. And if you have the vinyl, one side is Girl So in Love, the other side is You Seem So Sad. So you kind of get to go through this like start of the relationship to the high of the relationship to like the cracks forming and then the relationship ending and then kind of self-doubt and wondering what's wrong with me, which is a song on there. And then to Expectations. It kind of takes you on like, yeah, I think this so far, I mean, there's a lot of music coming. So far, this is my current album of the year contender as well. Also, Robert Smith is on this album. And it is very, very synthy at parts and different than what you would normally expect from a pop album. She's very raw and emotional. This came out just in June. It's just a little over a month old. And I have listened to this album every single day since that day. Not kidding. At least half of the songs every single day, if not the full album. When it released at number 1, not surprisingly. The lead single came out at number 1. Olivia was the first female artist to debut at over 80 million streams, ahead of Taylor Swift in, I don't even remember how many years it was, but she's the first one to do it, to beat it. So like that is, I mean, that says a lot right there, because we know Taylor dominates the charts. She dominates the stream charts, and Olivia with this one, she nailed it, hit it right out of the park. What other stats do I have? Continued her streak of every studio album opening at number 1. I think it's going to be nominated for multiple Grammys. I think it will win multiple Grammys. Again, there's a lot of music left to come out this year. It launched the Unraveled tour, which is her biggest headlining tour to date. I just think it's good. I think that it's not your typical pop record for a pop artist, and that's kind of why I love Olivia. None of her albums are really like typical pop albums. Guts had a bunch of rock theme to it. This has some rock in it. It's got some other stuff to it, but it's just so raw and real and emotional, and like every song is relatable in some way, shape, or form, I feel, for somebody. And I feel like if you don't know Olivia and you've never listened to her, this is where you start now. Like I used to say start at Sour. This is where you start now, is this album right here.
That's a bold statement.
Yeah.
Yeah, but I
So.
agree.
That's it.
I really enjoyed Sour and Guts, but it is absolutely crazy to me to see her grow so much as a songwriter. I feel like the songs are just more complex on Girl So in Love. I can't even, we're just going to call it that. When you were like, I don't know the name, I was like, oh, I feel that so hard. That is just, it's a fantastic record. And Robert Smith's voice, I am so shocked that he still sounds so good. I was like, wow. Yeah, I think a great pick. I saw that and I was like, yes.
There's no way that I couldn't put it on the list, and I was like, I'm doing it the next show I'm on, so it's got to be there because it's going to be a defining album of her career, and I think that
so.
she has a career like Taylor's ahead of her. She is so young and so talented, and a great songwriter and a great performer. I saw her on Guts. I'm going to see her twice on the Unravel tour, and I just think she's so amazing, and I think that she's just going to be I think she's just going to do more amazing things. And
I agree.
The fact that she's singing with Robert Smith and Weezer and all of these people that are not pop, like she is expanding herself and learning other genres and getting engulfed in it and like inviting those people in. And I love that.
And that's what real musicians do.
Yeah. I think it's really, that's why I think I love that album so much, is because when I listen to it, I can hear like what she's been listening to. You can hear her influences from like 90s alternative and grunge rock and all these different artists. And not only that, but she like, I'm a big fan of the Breeders, and she's brought them on tour, and like, they have a lot of the same kind of, no, I wouldn't say like similar, but she's like taken some of the same elements that those artists use and then reinterpreted them as her own in her takes. And I'm with you. I'm so excited to see what else she does.
Jordan on the Big End Wagon, me and Allie also have these in our shops. Everyone in the chat's like, I have this in my shop. I have this in my shop. I'm like, I know Allie has it in her shop. We have it in our shop.
And you know what's really cool? We just got this, I was telling you earlier, just got this album in our house because I bought it for my daughter, and she's 12. But this really tells me that she has really good taste in music. She's very discriminate in what she listens to, and I'm learning to trust her judgment, so that if she tells me that something is good, then I'm going to listen to her. And she's told me that this album is amazing, and now you're reinforcing that, and I'm like, my girl, she got a little bit of something from me. She's got good taste, and so that's really cool.
I mean, I can't say enough about how good I think it is right now. And usually I love a new album when it comes out for about a week, and then I'll like favorite some songs and listen to those. But I could listen to this front to back over every day, every single day. So, okay, Donna, you're up.
Okay, well, I'm taking us back to my high school years, back to 1995. So 95 was my golden years, one of the best years. I was 16 years old. I was driving. I was cranking 9-inch nails, being a rebel, going up and down the street, playing Closer, blowing it out of my Mustang. This is my glory days. But this is a little known album that I think kind of gets overlooked because it produced like a big hit. This is Save Mary 3, American Standard. And unfortunately, I don't have a copy of it right now. I have it on CD, but I don't have it on vinyl. But I'm going to rectify that soon because it is one of my favorite albums, and so I want to get it on vinyl. But produced a massive like radio hit, Cumbersome, which you may know. Life has become cumbersome. But oh my gosh, when I tell you, I mentioned the BMG earlier. I used to order all my CDs from BMG. Of course, I ordered this one for the hit. I ordered it for Cumbersome. But this became one that was another no skip album, and I would play this one front to back, and it really. I cannot tell you how many times I have listened to this, just all the way through. It is grunge. It is alternative. It is that era, definitely. But the song, I think we've really focused on songwriting on this podcast so far, like the quality of songwriting, and I think that's what really sets this album apart. Um, it's very lyrical. It's definitely got the heavy like guitar, it's really driving force, but then it'll pull back, and we have some really delicate sections where it's just telling a story. There's the first song is Water's Edge, which was another not quite as big as Cumbersome, but it was another radio hit, and it tells a story of you know a girl being found down by the water's edge. It almost sounds like a companion to Richard Marx's Hazard, girls being found in rivers. But it's very almost like bluegrass in its storytelling. It reminds me of like the bluegrass that my mom listened to, where you're telling a very tragic story, and the music sometimes is, at the opposite, kind of like what we were talking about before, of the music almost sounds opposite of the story that you're telling, and so it's a really great song. But there's some other tracks on it that are just absolutely phenomenal. There's one called Devil Boy, and it really explores kind of a religious trauma. Being told that you are of the devil because you do things differently, and I think that really resonated with me in kind of a spiritual journey, throughout my life. Man, there's it's just track after track after track. It's just the songwriting really stands out. Its ability to go in and out of heaviness and then quiet moments really stands out. It does not sound like a typical alternative or grunge record of that time period. And I think it really does get overlooked because people they remember the one song. They play the one song from their list in a grunge playlist. But I really challenge you to go and listen to it front to back, and I think you might be pleasantly surprised. There's a track called Punch In, Punch Out. Uses no guitar. Okay, it starts just a cappella, just voice, and then it throws in some really driving drum, but it never like brings in the guitar or anything, and it creates a lot of variety in the flow of the album, and I think it stands out. I think unfortunately they never quite had the success that they were looking for. They're largely forgotten about after this album, but I think it's just one of those hidden gems of the 90s. And so there you go, 7 American Standard from 1995. Please take a listen to it and enjoy it, especially if you like that time period of music. So there you go.
Yeah, I didn't get to finish the whole album today, so I'm excited to go back and listen to the rest. I had told the ladies earlier, I know Cumbersome. I love Cumbersome. I had no idea who sang it because it's just such a big song, a popular
Same,
song, like
right.
Yeah.
it.
Right.
But I had no idea who sang it. So when I heard it as I was listening, I was like, oh, now I know who sings this and all the other songs that they're singing. So now I'm gonna do a little more exploring with it. So thank you for bringing that one.
Yeah, I think I had some kind of ghost that was doing the thumbs down. I just want to let you know I did listen to this earlier today, and I did not know Cumbersome was the same. That was one of the things that I had kind of heard on the radio growing up, but never really like made the connection with the artist. I thought it was enjoyable. Thanks for sharing. And I didn't give it a thumbs down. There was just some random thing happening on here. I was like,
I
I'm
had
not
never
even
listened to it
moving.
either, but I liked Cumbersome. I actually saved that one. I didn't listen to the whole record though, but
Man.
Okay, Audra, you're up next with your last one.
Let me go grab this. This is
Great album.
this was such a big album for me, and I want to get the whole thing. This is Sufjan Stevens presents "Come On, Phil the Illinois." And this one I think is he also does an album about Michigan, but I think this was the album that kind of started the theory that he was going to do a song or an album for every state. which never really came into fruition. But this, I think, is I don't know. I love all. I don't love all Sufjan, but he does have a few albums that are, I think, very important, and I think this is definitely one of many in his discography. This is Sufjan Stevens' 2005 masterpiece, which, like, I know it's not traditionally like Americana. We were talking about Tyler Childers earlier and kind of that newer, like, what we think country music is, but like I think this is like such a good representation of the Midwest and what I think the Midwest is. That I would still consider it Americana. It's a very lush, sprawling album that I think covers not only kind of this historical stories of some things that happen in Illinois, but they're kind of intertwined and written along with these like really beautiful personal narratives and stories. It was kind of like a slow burn. It was released to kind of like a lot of fanfare, but it really, didn't chart. It wasn't like any major, release. I personally had the opportunity to see him live 3 months after this album was released at this really cool venue in Kentucky that has since shut down, called the Southgate House. And it was this big giant house across the river from Cincinnati. They had cigarette vending machines. It was so old, but it was originally used in Prohibition by mobsters, which I thought was very appropriate because, there's some Al Capone references on this album. But getting to see it, it was, if you've ever been to a concert and be like, this is like, I'm part of something that's really big. Like, I am part of something that is going to be like absolutely huge. I don't think I knew like how popular this album was going to be and how much it was going to resonate with other people, but like the room was electric, kind of watching them perform in this small venue. It's very sound-wise, I would still say it's very 60s and 70s rock kind of influenced, a lot more lesser arrangements with like very intricate storytelling, and Sufjan has this really angelic voice that just gets me every time. This is like this version is I think the 10-year anniversary that I have. Originally, this cover had Superman on it. So if you're ever out and you see a copy of this record and there's a Superman on it, you just need to grab it. After it was released, it was recalled. He was essentially threatened by DC at the time because, you can't just throw Superman on a cover of an album and expect to get, away with it. I absolutely, though, I think this album is a real treat, and it's one that you should listen to. Front to back. Yeah, see, they replaced it with balloons. So I have the one with Captain Marvel on it, which is like a 10-year anniversary release. But fantastic piece, like folk, pop art, 60s and 70s sound, like really Americana. Just I could literally put like 50 different genres on this thing, but I highly recommend listening to it and starting his whole career. And he has an amazing entire discography. So if you like this, like, you're in for some real great stuff. I think he's probably one of the best singer-songwriters of an entire generation. And he has the voice to boot. And he's kind of cute. So Sufjan Stevens, Come On Feel the Illinois. That is my final addition to the 500.
I've never heard of him. When I listened today, I went to this album specifically and looked at all of the songs, right? And I immediately saw John Wayne Gacy Jr. And as a true crime person, I was like, what is this? That was the first one I listened to. And I was like, oh, okay. It was so interesting to hear all of that. And then for him at the end to be like, I relate to him. I am him. I was like, whoa.
I'm
also a true crime person.
He's Yeah, that song I think there's two songs on here. There's that one and Casimir Polanski Day, which is about a young girl having cancer. But he does this really good job of taking like stories from Illinois and then actually being able to like kind of intertwine it, right? And so I love the John Wayne Gacy one. My mom always, I was talking to my mom about it. She was like, "That song's just so creepy," and I was like, "Actually, I like it because he humanizes John Wayne Gacy. Not only does he humanize John Wayne Gacy, he kind of, he has a bad history. His parents are not nice to John Wayne Gacy, and then he talks about not only like how terrible the murders were that he committed, but he talks about how he impacted the entire city. That these people were in like a very small community, and realizing that your neighbor was a monster the whole time, and how he could really be what is the difference between him and John Wayne Gacy when somebody seems so normal. But yeah, that's like starting on hard mode.
Right.
But I think it's one of the very strong tracks on the album.
The album is such a good like ride. That's like the only way I can put it. Like you feel like you're going through a story, like just the way it flows, like to listen from beginning to end. It's just like it just goes very well together. I love a album that's like I don't know if this was meant to be a concept album, but just where everything kind of fits together and feels like it flows, and kind of that what happens next is supposed to happen next. Like that track was put there for a specific reason.
Yeah, he had a whole vision with that one. I think. Shame we didn't get the other 47 albums for states, but I will take Illinois.
Okay, Allie, you're up next with your last one.
Okay, and this is my one that has no explanation. It's Beyonce. No, I'm kidding. This is a super cool album. So it's kind of meant or known to be like a breakup album with all of the kind of like angry anthems and everything that you hear on it. But I don't think they ever actually confirmed that it was directly related to Jay-Z cheating or not, but I'm sure that's what it was, because I guess later on down the road he put out an album kind of apologizing, I guess, or in rebuttal to that. I didn't listen to it. I don't care. But yeah, it's really interesting, and it's very genre. Takes inspiration from, she's normally R&B and pop, but when you listen to this album front to back, you're going to hear hip hop, country, soul, funk. You're going to hear some gospel, kind of maybe even some like trap music. You get a little bit of everything. And she had a lot of people kind of co-producing this album that I never would have expected. So it's Beyonce, she's known for her R&B and pop, and she's got Diplo and Mike Will Made It and Jack White. Most importantly, my favorite song on this album, Don't Hurt Yourself, with Jack White. And if you, there it is, Tucker. So, it went off a cliff. Yes, so it's just, oh God, it's so good. And she really, it was like it's a cultural thing, it was huge. Everyone knows Beyonce already, she's the queen bee. And then she drops this, and not only is it different, but it covers so many relatable topics, and it technically isn't a concept album like you were saying, Stacey, too. It's not considered a concept album, but when you do listen to it front to back, it is cohesive. We're starting at the point where she's maybe learning or thinking that her significant other is cheating on her, and then we get to the point of where she's just mad, and that's Don't Hurt Yourself. And I challenge you to listen to the last minute of that song and not get chills, because you just feel it. You can feel her rage, and it's incredible. It's powerful. And then you kind of get to the point where she's forgiving, and then she's hopeful, and then she ties it all in very well to, Black culture and how it is growing up in the South. And it's an incredible album. So not only did she produce this amazing, totally genre-bending album with really deep themes and really relatable to everybody, it was a visual album. So when it dropped, it wasn't just the music that was put on Tidal. There was a movie on HBO. So fully you watch the movie along with this album, and it just added that much more to it, but it's still independently, you can listen to it without the movie, and it's still just an incredible album. And like I said, it has all sorts of different genres, all sorts of different themes. So if you're a music fan, I think you can find something in here that you enjoy.
I think I watched the video. I watched the HBO thing first when I was my first pass with that album, and it was just like, wow! Like I fantastic pick. Love that album.
A Peabody, I think, the video.
Oh yeah. I think I remember that. I mean, it really was like such a cultural moment. It came out of like, I feel like left field. And then there was this massive amount of lore, right? Kind of what we've touched on a couple of things about like the backstory. Like you had, I don't know if anybody remembers that picture of Solange with them coming out of the elevator. And it's like Jay-Z, like it's like maybe he's been like, in a fight, and like Beyonce's smiling and her sister is like, yeah, I just got stuff done. Right, I always think about that when I think about this album.
Cheat on Beyonce, and if it happens to Beyonce, then we're all screwed.
Right? How could you, Jay? How could you, Jay? Right. But no, really, the Jack White tracks and just all of it is I think it's definitely an essential. I think a lot of her work is essential, but it's up there.
Agreed.
Tucker, we don't yuck people's yums in here. If you're a music fan, you can listen to Beyonce.
Yes, I think even if it's not something that you would listen to regularly, right? If this is not something that is in your wheelhouse, right? You can watch her video, or you can listen to that album and hear the artistry and understand her vision for that album. Like I don't think that's questionable.
Yeah, you just have to experience it once.
Okay, guys, that is the end of our presentation of our 3 albums each. Our second segment today is a fun one. So we're gone over a little bit, so I'm just going to give you guys some questions to think about while we do this. So what we're going to be doing is presenting like our perfect festival. So just kind of think about while we're doing this, like which festival do you think would sell out the fastest? Which would you go to? Which artist do you like? Which do you think, if they were all on the same weekend, how would you pick which one to go to? Things like that. So what we're going to be doing is going through one by one. We're going to each present an opener, then an afternoon artist, a sunset artist, a headliner, and a surprise reunion. We're not going to do a big long explanation. We're just kind of going to go through it, and then we'll chat about it and see how you guys feel. So we'll start with opener. My Best Coast Fest opener is Lorde. Donna?
Well, mine is Fiction Plane.
Audra?
Oh my gosh. I would do a city pop fest and a Japanese music fest, and I would pick the jazz band Cassiopeia.
And Allie?
And mine is a total pop fest. My opener is Sabrina Carpenter.
Nice. Okay, so we've got 4 very different openers. I mean, we've got Lorde and Sabrina, kind of poppy both, but very different. Afternoon artist for me is Third Eye Blind. Donna?
Annie Lennox.
Nice. Audra?
Junko Yagami. It's another city pop artist.
Allie?
Olivia Rodrigo.
Nice. My sunset artist is Dave Matthews Band.
Peter Gabriel.
Ooh.
Masayoshi Takanaka.
Oh, that's your sunset artist.
Yeah.
Okay, I thought you would have put Takanaka as a headliner.
No. I have a vision.
Okay, Allie.
Billie Eilish, and I too have a vision.
Okay. My headliner, guess. People just guess. It's Taylor.
Of course.
Donna.
Can you guess mine?
Shocker.
Can you guess mine?
Sting.
Sting. Yep.
Odd.
Mine would be a dual headliner, the husband and wife couple of Tatsuro Yamashita and Maria Takeuchi.
And Allie.
Lady Gaga.
Ooh.
That's a good
Okay, my surprise reunion. All 5 members of NSYNC.
Yes.
Donna.
As unlikely as it would be, a surprise reunion of the Police.
Odd.
I would say, man, that's hard. Probably a surprise combination of the Japanese band, the Sadistics.
And Allie.
Destiny's Child.
Okay, so now we're going to go through and name the whole thing in a row. So my festival would be opening Lorde, afternoon artist Third Eye Blind, sunset artist Dave Matthews Band, Taylor Swift as the headliner, and a surprise reunion by all members of NSYNC. Donna.
Okay. So my opener is the band Fiction Plane, which, by the way, is led by Joe Sumner, just Sting's son. They kind of sound similar. Afternoon is Annie Lennox. Sunset is Peter Gabriel. Headliner is Sting, and my most wanted reunion ever of the Police.
It's the Sting Fest.
Yes, the Sting Fest. They're all Sting
Okay.
related, Sting adjacent.
Odd.
City Pop Fest opening opener would be Cassiopeia, then the amazing artist Junko Yagami, and then we would have Masayoshi Takanaka, amazing guitarist. We would have the husband and wife both doing kind of a combo thing with Maria Takeuchi and Tatsuro Yamashita, and then Takanaka would have to come back for his sadistic set in the evening.
There you go. And Allie.
Girly Pop Fest. My opener is Sabrina Carpenter. Afternoon is Olivia Rodrigo. Sunset is Billie Eilish. Deep, dark, moody, leading into our headliner, Lady Gaga. And with a surprise reunion from Destiny's Child.
I think Allie's festival sounds pretty damn fun, personally. I know. I try on mine. I tried to think about it a lot. I had a lot of like renditions to mine. I had Florence and the Machine on there with a reunion of doing Florida with Taylor Swift, and then I had Haim coming back for like a reunion, and I had a bunch of stuff. And finally, I was like, no, I got to take away some of the pop, and I need to put some like of my other favorites in there. So I think that these 4, Lorde, Third Eye Blind, Dave Matthews Band, Taylor Swift, are probably 4 of my favorite artists, like 4 of my top 10. So if you guys want to share any insights on why you chose the ones that you did, feel free to go ahead. And if anybody has any questions for anyone in the chat, now is the time to ask.
For me, I've seen when Sting was on tour with Annie Lennox. That was actually one of my first Sting concert, and they are great friends outside of touring, and obviously they're 80s. And I also saw when Sting and Peter Gabriel were on tour together for the Rock Paper Scissors tour, and they covered a lot of each other's songs. So my whole thing was very Sting adjacent. Of course, I'm completely obsessed, and I admit that I have a problem. I relate everything back to Sting. Everybody can tell you that, but mine would be totally like 80s themed. Everybody come in their greatest 80s gear and rock out.
Okay.
No.
Did you want to add?
I think there's mine kind of mimics. There's this City Pop Festival happening in London, and we could only be so lucky that a couple of the artists are playing in. But the market is hungry for some Japanese musicians to come over here and actually do some proper U.S. shows instead of the Takanaka show, which sold out like instantaneously. So like I would travel for that. but outlook not so good.
And now is your guys' chance to. Oh, Allie, I didn't know if you wanted to say anything about it.
It's okay. A festival to me is just people coming together and enjoying themselves and dancing and singing and just having a wonderful time. So that's why I kind of went the pop route, because it just feels so unified, and you leave there when your feet hurt and you're exhausted, but it's just some of the best memories that you have. So.
Okay, Molly asked, what's everybody's favorite album by their headliner? Folklore.
Well, besides 10 Summer Tales, I guess my second favorite would be Nothing Like the Sun.
Kurofune.
It's going to have to be Mayhem or The Fame, of course.
I have a hard time choosing between those two, Allie.
Yeah.
So now is your guys' chance to plug yourself. So we'll start with Donna, go to Audra, Allie, and then I'll finish off. Tell us what you've got going on coming up on Whatnot, if anything, that you want to tell people about.
Okay. See, Saturday we have the Ladies of Vinyl Raid Train. Some of us are participating in, so I'm very excited about that. I do not know how I'm going to do it though, because I'm limited to 1 hour, and traditionally my shows go forever. I'm very long-winded and I talk a lot, so I don't know how I'm going to limit myself. I'm going to probably need some people to keep me in line. But I'll also probably have a show on Sunday, so I can go a little bit longer and sell some more of my stuff. But my stuff, I like the 80s a lot. You will always find 80s stuff in my shows. But I like to keep them mixed. I like to appeal to a variety of people, and offer jazz, offer some quirky stuff, offer the kind of the nostalgia kinds of things, like the kids stuff. I really, that appeals to me. So I always have a lot of variety in my shows. So come check it out.
To me?
Yep.
Oh, okay. Yeah, so I'm Audra. I'm one half of Cap City Pop. I usually am live with my husband and partner, Trinity. We typically sell mostly Japanese music. That's kind of our niche. We have a whole community that's dedicated to it. We just finished up our 4-year anniversary show. I'm in the works. I usually don't do solo shows. I am eventually going to get back to doing a solo show with Japanese jazz, because that's kind of my flavor right now. And then we are working on doing fresh imports every Sunday. So every Sunday we do a playlist update, and then we kind of have a curated set of goodies that we have and we bring on in the show. And that's kind of the format right now. So fun stuff.
Allie, what you got?
I have a big order coming tomorrow. So Friday, we'll be having a show probably late at night. Late at night for East Coasters. I'll probably do around like 6:30 Pacific time. And then we'll hit up Stacey for Friday Finds. And Saturday, the Ladies of Vinyl Raid Train. So super excited to be part of that. I'll let Stacey talk more about that.
So I have a lot coming up and like every week moving forward. But tonight, in about an hour and a half, Gracie Abrams' new album comes out. So I have a listening party on Whatnot if anybody would like to join. I do put the music on. It is through OBS, so it's high quality. I put the lyrics up on the screen so you can see those as well. We were kind of talking about that, listening to music and having the lyrics. So I put that up there. I mute myself. I do not talk while the album is playing. We listen, we chat, and then we talk a little bit about it after. So that is tonight. Tomorrow is Friday Finds. Every Friday evening, I do a show where everybody can come in. You can request any artist and any song out of any genre, and I will play it. It doesn't mean I'll play the whole thing, but I will play a song. And then every month, I make a playlist for that. You can make requests in the show, or you see that scroll down there. That's our Discord. There's a Friday Finds channel in there, where as you find songs, you can put them in there so I can add them to the playlist. And then Saturday is the Ladies of Vinyl Raid Train. It is about 2 years ago that Janet, Vinyl Canyon, started the Ladies of Vinyl Raid Train. And there was a little break. Now we're back. It's going to be really fun. It's all day long, bunch of women in it. It's going to be a great time. I don't remember the exact time it starts because it's East Coast and I never remember the East Coast time, but there will be a giveaway show by Wax Arcana ahead of time. Sometime in the middle, Amy Eskino's Vinyl is going to be doing a short giveaway show. Amy will be the caboose, and in between those two, there will be a bunch of stuff. Me, Allie, Donna. Audra, unfortunately, is not on this one this month, but hopefully she will be back again soon. So yeah, if you want to support women in vinyl, that's the best way to do so. I think Cap City Pop's Discord was up there too. So if you guys are interested in joining either of our Discords, those came across the screen. And then we just launched our website. So it is just my username, bestcoastmusic531.com. We've got over 30,000 items in there. So you can check that out. There's pre-orders and in-stock stuff. So yeah, that is all that we got for you, I think. So just want to thank everybody for being here and watching us. I want to thank the ladies for coming on tonight. I really appreciate you guys. It's always a pleasure. And I think that there was so much knowledge tonight and I learned so much tonight from all of you. It was a great time. So
This is a
I
great one.
think that the next 4 women will probably be in September. If it's in August, I guess we'll let you know. I have one person lined up for that one. It will be Amy from Eskino's Vinyl, and I'll be filling in the other 2 spots. So if anybody has suggestions for topics or people to be on, you can put that in the 3 Men on the Record Discord under the 4 Women on the Record channel. So have a good night, everybody, and hope to see you next time.
Bye.